Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of In the Blender. I got a special guest. He is like a walking, living, breathing Miami Dolphins almanac. And we'll get to know him when we get back.
Shake, 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 yeah, shake, 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 shake. Shake money in the place. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Is you a fan or a troll? Are you trying to wish us good? Trying to take control, bringing problems to the hood. What takes your soul? Miami Dolphins bring the wood. Super Bowl is the goal. Tyreek Hill. I'm trying to kick it with Shay. You gotta be a real fan. No pretenders and fakes. We're gonna open up the line. Come correct with your taste. If you step into us blind, we're gonna show you the way. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Miami plays, Miami days in the blender with shaking his friends. We're gonna talk about the fans again. Never want the season to end. Mix it up a little with gin. And I remember when I knew that the Dolphins would win. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Let's go. I never want the season to end. Never mix it up a little with gin. That's right. Pass it off to one of my friends. Yeah, rockin' with Shake, rockin' with Shake. Larry K, what up? Phin-Addicts. TFTG, the tailgate. Miami Dolphins, baby. What up, Lou? Shake money. Crypto. Check it. Me? God bless y'all. Miami Dolphins #1. And we out. Miami Dolphins football, the greatest football team. We push the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. Respect us.
Morning, Your Majesty. It is another beautiful day in Zamunda.
Yes, indeed, it is. I first met this guest through one of my good friends, Mr. Dolphins Winters, who is from Philly. He's been on the show a couple of times with him and Papa Paul. So he was on the West Coast Dolphin fans. He was amazing with the information he has when it comes to Dolphin football. And I am honored to have the one, the only from Massachusetts, my man Russell.
Appreciate you, Shake. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for coming on, man.
I'm humbled. I'm not an almanac, but I appreciate you giving me that shout out. I mean, we all have our own experiences and our own views on our fandom for the Dolphins, and I'm just because I've been a fan a lot longer than a lot of people doesn't make me a Bible. But I mean, we all have room to grow.
No doubt, man. No doubt, man. No, I was impressed by your knowledge, man. It's like this is like one of the things about in the blender when I started this Casa Nostra. I started this because I heard in the fish tank with OJ McDuffie and Seth Levitt. They were talking about their game time memories, and I wanted to do a show for the fans, fan time memories. You know what I'm saying? What were your memories of why you became a Dolphin fan and things of that nature? You know what I'm saying? So I think this is you're the and I've had people that were content creators. I had OJ McDuffie himself on here. I had people that were from Twitter and all kind of different reasons why they became Dolphin fans. And the top 3 common reasons is either they're born here, their dad, or Dan Marino. Let's put it. Those are the 3 top reasons why I became a Dolphin fan. So with no further ado, the $1 million question: what made you a Dolphin fan?
Well, first and foremost, those 3 that you had asked, I didn't become a fan of the Dolphins because of my dad, because my dad was a Minnesota Vikings fan.
No doubt.
I didn't become a fan because of Dan Marino, because I was a Dolphin fan before Dan Marino. and I've never was born in Florida. So to leave that where it may be,
Yeah, for sure.
it was funny. I was 6 years old, 1970, and my dad was running errands on a Saturday morning. He asked me to go with him. So we were running errands. We stopped at a Shell gas station. At the time, the Shell was doing a promotion where if you got a full tank of gas, they would give you a set of drinking glasses. But you didn't know what the team was because they were in a brown box. So what had happened was he got a full tank of gas.
Uh-huh.
We were given a set of 4 drink glasses. So my dad says, well, open it up when you get home. So that's what we did. When we got home, I opened it up. It was the Miami Dolphins. I wasn't following football at 6 because my older brothers were 2 of them, Maurice and Dale, were Vikings fans, and my brother Marcus was a Steelers fan in 1970. So I wasn't a Dolphins fan, but when I saw the glass, I liked the logo. It was the 1970 logo. So I asked my dad about the team, and he was like, oh, they're not good. They're not good. And what would you expect? He was a Vikings fan.
Of course.
So that summer in August, the Dolphins came on like a clip during a preseason game that was on. I saw their colors. I liked their colors. So at that time, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any players. That September, they opened up the season against the Boston Patriots, September of 1970. And because I became a Dolphin fan, my dad brought me and his 2 brothers, Wallace and Dennis, to see them.
Oh, who won that game?
New England. Well, they were Boston Patriots at the time. They won 20. That was a season opener, 28-14. And at that time, they played at Boston University at Nickerson Field. And they beat the Dolphins 28-14. And I cried like someone who was a kid and someone told him there was no such thing as Santa Claus. Because, I was already like the colors. And then as a 6-year-old, the first name I heard was Bob Greasy. And I laughed and laughed and laughed. And in fact, that was the second jersey that I ever got. It wasn't like the jerseys of today with the names. It was just, it was like almost like shirts. It was aqua and orange, was number 12. And it was Bob Greasy. He didn't have his name on it. And then the second one I got was Paul Warfield, number 42. I can still remember him, 70, 71, 72.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Then, of course, you've seen the 2 Super Bowls that ensued, right?
I saw the Super Bowl on that and watched it with my own eyes when we beat. I saw actually 3 in a row. We lost in 71 to Dallas, 24-3. I remember watching that game. I remember the next year when we went undefeated and we beat the Redskins 14-7. And I was so upset when your Premian got that field goal blocked and they returned it for a touchdown, because if you thought about it at that time, we were leading 14-0. If he would have made the field goal, it would have been 17-0, and we would have finished the season at 17-0.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And then the next year, 73, which people don't realize this, the 73 team was actually better than the 72 undefeated team. But, I mean, we lost the game. I think we lost 2 that season. We beat Minnesota in the Super Bowl. Oh, my dad and my brothers were so upset because that whole week leading up to the game, oh, wait till we get your Dolphins. We're going to beat the Dolphins. And the Dolphins beat them 24-7.
Yeah, Minnesota's 4-4 like in Super Bowls, like another team. I'm not going to mention.
Yeah, we won't even mention that team from upstate New York. They're trash too. But yeah, it's funny how life turns around. For me as a Dolphin fan, the worst moment for me wasn't so much losing Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. The worst moment for me as a fan was when our dynasty ended in 74 when we lost to the Raiders, because we would have went to 5 consecutive Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And we lost. And then that was the end of the Dolphins, because that's when the WFL started. And we lost Zonka, Kick, and Warfield.
Mm-hmm.
And we were never the same till, Marino came, but we didn't win any Super Bowls with Marino. So that Sea of Hands game to this day still bothers me in 74. If you ever have a chance, you put on that game, the Sea of Hands game where Clarence Davis caught that ball when Stabler was being sacked by Vern Den Herder. He caught it among 4 Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
That game drives me crazy to this day. And that was in 1974. We're in 2025, my brother. And that game still upsets me because it was like the end of a dynasty. Because if we win that game, we're going to the Super Bowl again. And I mean, Zonko, Warfield, and Kickford have probably got new deals. But, you know.
Yeah, man. No doubt. Yeah, man. And you know what's funny is I read the book The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. And according to him, right, Chef Jew, what's going on? Shout out to Chef Jew. Shout out to Cosa Nostra. Shout out to Cat for Life. And my man Scott Jackson. Can't forget Suicide Hotline, aka Michael. He's the Buffalo Bills resident here who supports the show, and he trolls a lot. So it is what it is. But anyway, in the book, he talked about how he tried to lure Don Shula, and he said the reason he didn't sign Don Shula because he wanted a free residency at the Trump Towers, according to him, according to the book. That's why he never signed Don Shula.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about sports, it's a lot different today. I mean, obviously with social media and more publicity, and I mean, because those guys, a lot of those guys in the 70s had jobs during the summer before when the season ended. You know, the season generally ended in January, mid-February. They worked till season started back up in July. A lot of guys weren't making the money that they're making today. And it's understandable that with TV revenue and, you know, sharing of profits and obviously apparel sales and, you know,
You went on mute. My bad. You probably had to say something. But yeah, what's up, Chef Jew? Hope you are okay. Yes, man. Check your posts. We got another season. I don't know, you know, coming through, man. This is what the 3rd day. I think today was a rest day on OTA. You know, Eichenberg, he's gonna get his 4th consecutive orange jersey. He is the 4-time orange jersey recipient. So he's the orange. He is the training camp OTA's Hall of Famer. Eichenberg. I'm sorry.
Big deal. Big deal. You know, it's funny. Like for all the years as being a fan, I mean, it's really like makes me just look at myself and say, wait a minute. For all the years, the Dolphins have always had decent offensive linemen. You can go back to the 70s teams with Larry Little and Kuchenberg and Jim Langer, Wayne Moore. You can go in the 80s with Dwight Stevenson. You had, after that, you've had Jake Long. You had Jamie Nails. You had Roy Foster. You had Richmond Webb. We can go on and on. Something went wrong where our general manager says, the fans are more concerned about the offensive line. The offensive line was junk.
Shout out to Ali in the building. What's up, Ali? But yeah, I don't know. But then last year he addressed it. He addressed it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, I like the signing of Daniels. I like the draft of the guy from Arizona. I mean, hopefully Austin Jackson stays healthy and Paul plays well. I mean, and Brewer had a heck of a season as the full-time center. I mean, before Connor Williams had got hurt and before Isaiah Wynn had got hurt, we were actually rolling. I mean, but, you know, every year is a different, you know, chapter. Every year is a different change. So, I mean, I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm happy that they actually drafted in both offensive defensive lines to get more physical and, you know, because it takes a lot off of the quarterback Tua to be in that hero mode where he has to pull us out of the fire. If we can run the ball, we can change a lot of the dimensions of our game. And hopefully with a healthy Chubb and a healthy Jalen Phillips, I mean, we'll be a lot better. I mean, I'm still saying we're 11-win team because I mean we won 8 with 4 different quarterbacks. So I mean, you got to be optimistic.
No doubt, no doubt. You got to. I mean, that's all we can do, right? Is be optimistic. That's what fans are for. It's like it gets to a point. What's up, Kenna Ranking? It's to a point where people actually think they have a say in what goes on in the building. You're like, I like this player. How can you like this player? I'm like, dude, we have no control. My job when I do podcasts and whatever, I predict who's going to start. I think this guy's going to start. No, I don't like him. I said, look, it doesn't matter if you like him or not. I think this is who's going to start. For the last 5 years, everybody was trying to replace Tua, and guess what? He's still here.
You know something, Shake? I admire people who do shows because, I mean, with all the negativity that comes along with it, I mean, everybody has an opinion and they are totally entitled to that. I just don't like when people make it personal. Yeah. If you have something to say, you can say what you want to say. Why does, if you don't like a certain offensive player, or you don't like a certain play call, or if you didn't like a certain draft pick, it has to resort to your mother, your sister, your father, your kids? Why? My kids ain't thrown a pass.
No.
My kids haven't made a tackle. But this is what I'm saying about social media. Everybody's a studio gangster and everybody's a Twitter mobster, but these are the same people who would never say any of these things if they were in front of you. I mean, I respect a person's opinion. You are entitled to it. No but doubt. When you step over the line and, if Shake says, well, I didn't like blah, blah's play call, or I didn't like the run on 3rd down, or I didn't like that defensive call. Oh, it's all of a sudden your girl's this, or your son is that, or, and it's really like to the point where, people's fandom sometimes it gets terroristic. I mean, listen, I don't condone violence against anybody, but I'm a problem solver, not a problem starter.
Yeah.
I respect all you guys. You guys do your thing. Like Saul, I met Saul 3 years ago through Twitter. It's family now. I mean, and there are a lot of tremendous people that I've met in the last 3+ years of just being in the fandom and liking what you like. And I mean, we're not always going to agree. Mm-hmm. I mean, but as a fan, we will obviously want the best for our team. I mean, I hate the doom and despair. Oh, we're only going to win 4 games, or we're not going to listen. Every year is different. It's just like the weather. You don't know what the weather's going to be tomorrow, but you deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Correct. I mean, listen, I've always said predicting sports is like the weather. Everything, everything changes. You know what I'm saying? There's a 90% chance of rain, but there might not be no rain. That's just the weather's educated guess of what, he's looking at the conditions and everything like that. So he's saying, okay, there's going to be a 40% chance, a 50% chance, and sometimes it doesn't happen.
Yep. I think that's the only job in America where you could be wrong and still have a job. A meteorologist.
Pretty much. One of my favorite, it was a clip. If you look it up on YouTube, there was this guy. It was an angry weatherman, and I guess he was being fired or something like that. He goes, y'all want to know what the weather is? Stick your fucking hat out the window.
Yeah, that'll definitely be his last day on the job with the FCC. Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to be throwing those 4 letters around. If you want to stay as a weatherman, it would be definitely storm clouds on the network.
So, by the way, thank you for your service. You were a veteran, correct?
Yes, sir. 20 years, U.S. Navy.
That's what's up, man. My cousin, I have a cousin that lives in Maryland right now. He just did he finished his 20 years in 2021. He retired. He's private.
Nice.
He was doing cyber.
Nice.
Yeah.
The cool thing about it is when I went in the Navy, 1982. I graduated high school 1982, June of 82, and I went in November of 82. It was funny. My first ever game in Florida was in 1981, the Dolphins against the Baltimore Colts. David Woodley was the quarterback at the Orange Bowl.
Okay.
That was my first game. And then when I was in the Navy, I was stationed in San Diego. So I was like, how am I going to get to see my Dolphins? Because they're not playing out here at the time. That year that Marino was the quarterback, 83, they played, I think it was Seattle in the playoffs. And I was off that weekend. I flew down for the Seattle Dolphins playoff game. This is how long ago this is in the Orange Bowl.
Okay.
Seattle came back and beat Miami in the fourth quarter. Oh, I was the maddest flight back from Fort Lauderdale to San Diego ever. And this is so far back, I was flying TWA.
Damn.
Yep. And then the Seattle Seahawks had Kurt Warner, Jim Zorn, and Steve Largent. Yep, we lost that playoff game. Oh, I was so mad. Oh.
So I have this interesting question I want to ask you. Being that you were in the Orange Bowl, and I met you at Hard Rock. What do you think are the biggest differences besides the ambient, the what can I say, the visual? I know Hard Rock is a little more aesthetic pleasing than the Orange Bowl. Can you compare and contrast the feeling that you got in the Orange Bowl versus the feelings that you got at Hard Rock? Is there
I actually can tell you this. I went to 4 games in the Orange Bowl. I seen the 2 games in the playoffs. I seen 85 against the Browns, 83 against Seattle. I seen the Rams when they had Eric Dickerson against the Dolphins, and I seen David Woodley start against the Colts. The one difference that still sits with me today is at the Orange Bowl. That place was so loud that, oh my God, it was like it'd go right through your spirit. It was crazy. I mean, Joe Robbie, Hard Rock, Shock Stadium, all the different names and that, all the naming rights. It's loud, but nothing like the Orange Bowl. That Orange Bowl was crazy. I mean, just like it jumped on you, the noise. It was like if you were in the end zone or you in the corner sidelines, and it was so loud, and it seemed like everybody was stuffed in like a can of sardines, but it was so loud and it was so muggy that, you just, man, it was the ambiance. Of course, it's all modern now. I mean, but that old feeling of just the noise and just like, I mean, honest to God, it felt like 100 Christmases in your chest. Your heart was feeling like it's going to pop out of your chest. Wow. That's how loud it was. And I mean, and then at that time, you didn't have, in the Orange Bowl, there was no Florida Marlins and no Florida Panthers and no Miami Heat. It was just the only thing in town was the Dolphins and the University of Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
That played at the Orange Bowl. So that was like everybody in their family, sister, brother, uncle, godfather, grandmother were Dolphin fans. So it was like a true fandom. I mean, now there's different sports and it's different, and the vibe is different.
Also, like it's terrible bathrooms. It was like from what I heard,
it was
a cloth.
Yeah, it was all old school. That was no different from up here. Like I was going to the Dolphin games from 1970 all the way till I went in the Navy in 82 here. And I mean, it was Schaefer Stadium at the time. The beer company was the naming of Foxborough. I was going to the Dolphin game every year. And same thing. They had aluminum bleachers, with numbers on the thing where you were sat. There weren't chairs. Only the lower seating had chairs. So it was like a high school atmosphere, but it was an NFL stadium. So, you were just like, wow, I'm here. This is how far ago this is. You could actually walk up and buy tickets at Schaefer Stadium for games. You didn't have to, the whole thing with season tickets, and you could walk up to buy a ticket. They had a window similar to like going to a movie. You could actually buy a ticket. And I brought a lot of my friends because my dad had season tickets and they used to be in the 300 level. And we'd go to the games. I remember seeing Bob Greasy. He was a quarterback. He had glasses on, 76, 77. He was the quarterback of the Dolphins with glasses on.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, one thing I noticed too, when I was watching, because one thing I like about YouTube is any game you could think of,
Hmm.
you could watch the game in its entirety without the commercials. And I was watching the Dolphins take on the 85 Bears, and one thing I noticed, the fact that the referees were pleading with the
The
fans, because
fans. Oh yeah.
because there was no play clock at the time either. So you know what I mean?
Hmm.
The Bears couldn't get the players off because they couldn't hear nothing.
Yep, delay games left and right because it was like I said, that atmosphere. If you were home and you just turned down, if you could just tune out the announcers and just a lot of the older games in the Orange Bowl, which were Monday night games, where that crowd was so loud, it was like unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
the quarterback would turn around to the umpire behind him and say, "Hey, I can't hear it. I can't hear it. I can't hear it." And they would try to tell the fans, and it got louder. Yeah, I mean, I've been to some crazy games in Miami. I've been to a lot of games. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite game that I've been to. I've been to a lot of wins. I've been to a lot of losses. I was at the last playoff win against the Colts in overtime with Lamar Smith. I went to the two losses in Joe pro player Joe Robbie, whatever you want to call it, against the Ravens. I seen the Elvis Gerback beat us. I seen when Chad Pennington was our quarterback, we lost, and Ed Reed with a long return for a touchdown. I mean, I've been to regular season games that were crazy. I seen the week after 9/11, we beat the Raiders, and Jay Fiba marched us 80 yards for the winning score, and he dived in from like 11 yards out. He ran it with like 4 seconds left. That place erupted because it was obviously the spirit of 9/11. They had shut down the games for the week, and then they played the following week's games, and it was the Raiders and the Dolphins. Yeah, I've been to some crazy ones, man. Some real loud ones, some real depressing ones. I was at the game where the Steelers beat the Dolphins in the last second when Roethlisberger fumbled in the end zone. We recovered it, but the refs said they didn't know who recovered it, so they placed the ball back. Then the Steelers kicked the field goal with 1 second left and beat us. Yeah, I've been to some crazy games, man.
Yeah, it
I've
was.
been, yeah, I've been to a game where Zach Thomas knocked the stuffings out of Jerome Bettis in the pouring rain. We shut them out. 21-0 with Marino, and that was the Marlins were playing at the stadium and had the dirt infield, so all the plays were going the opposite way because it was like a quagmire of rain and mud. I went to the game when Marino came back after he tore his Achilles the year before against the Browns, and the season opened against the Patriots with him and Bledsoe. Yeah,
but
been a lot
what's
of good
funny
ones.
is, back then when we used to have the diamond in the stadium, it was funny is that a lot of the players looked like they were playing in mud.
And I mean, that dirt infield hurt because I mean, it's bad enough you're getting tackled, but you don't want to get tackled on that mess.
No.
An asphalt infield in heat. Yeah, that's not going to work out well.
So let me ask you. So you tell me, we spoke before and you talked about how you had a family that was a part of the Wanstons coaching staff.
Yep, my uncle Clarence Brooks. He was a defensive line coach under Dave Wanstead.
Have you ever met? I'm sure you've met Wanstead. Have you?
I took pictures with Wanstead. Wanstead was cool. I remember Wanstead. I remember North Turner. The special teams coach, Jim. Oh my goodness, I could see his face. He was super cool. Mike Westhoff. Yep, I remember a lot of guys. I remember Armstrong. There was a lot of good coaches. I mean, Wanstead he was super cool because he delegated. Everybody, was on his staff. They got to do things rather than, he's doing the whole. He was a good manager. Everybody did their roles. That's when the Dolphins were actually playoff teams. They were good then. I mean, you got too many cooks in the kitchen and ruins the recipe. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't say for certain what someone should and shouldn't do, but as fans, I mean, we can sit and scream and holler about everything, but till you've actually seen people's perspectives and what they do and what they don't do. I've been in the Dolphins film room. I've seen Shannon Crowder. I've seen Sam Madison, Patrick Surtain. I've seen Brock Marion. I've seen Chris Chambers. I spoke with a lot of guys. It's not like anybody who is a fan knows what it is to play in the NFL, because we don't play in the NFL. So the pressure of weekly meetings, the pressure of you still have a family, the pressure of wanting to come out and succeed. Everybody acts as though Tua or whoever your favorite player is just, they don't have a life else. They have the same anxieties, the same stresses that we have, just on different levels, because they're in the spotlight more than the regular Shake Money or Russell or anybody that's not in the league.
Yeah. So, what's up, Raphael? So, you were at training camps, right? Were there any players that you saw that were nobody heard of, and you're like, damn, this guy's gonna be something?
I went usually 10 days out of, God, you always have 2 weeks vacation in August. So I was at the training camps with Wanstead was there. I actually liked Sean Smith. I thought he was going to be pretty decent. The corner, he wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
I actually liked, oh man, I could see his face. I liked, obviously, Chris Chambers. Everybody knew about Chris Chambers from Wisconsin. But I liked, there was a lot of guys, like years after. I remember when I went down there, when Saban was the coach, they had Manuel Wright. He was a big guy from USC. He was picked in the supplemental draft. And I can still remember this like it happened yesterday. He come out of, the locker room area onto the field, and he had his shirt untucked. He had flip-flops on, and Nick Saban lit into him like a 4th of July parade. He lit him up.
The dude who was crying on the field?
Yep. I was there, and he made this dude cry. And this guy was a monster. He was like 6'4", big son of a gun, 290, 295, big guy. And he lit into him, being lazy. He just lit into him. And this dude actually was in tears. And I was like, in the VIP area. I remember seeing Junior Seau. I remember seeing Derek Rogers, Randy McMichael. There was a lot of people that were super cool. I remember seeing, like, every morning they would have the morning practices, and I would look at the list before I left, because the practice was usually about an hour and 15 minutes. Some days they would have 2 days, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Sometimes they would only have one afternoon practice. So I would look to find out. And then I would call my Uncle Clarence's office. Yep, just put me on the VIP list. I'm coming to practice. He says, oh, we got 2 tomorrow. Put me on both, because they would put you on the VIP list. You would go and check in. You'd get a lanyard, and you'd go into the VIP. At Nova, they had the bleachers, all these fans in the bleachers. And it was hot. Morning practice usually be 9 o'clock to say 10:30, about an hour and a half. And they would have water stations everywhere. But there would be a line of people along the fences trying to get players' autographs after they practice. It generally, like the Jason Taylors, the Zach Thomases. The very first week they might have went up, but they didn't, because it's so hot. You've been practicing all day. You don't want to be, if I sign one, I got to sign 100. You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was this one guy, he was coming to practice every day. He was in a wheelchair, and he saw me always going through. So he thought I must be on the team, because I always had on the same stuff that they had in the camp. My uncle gave me the shorts, gave me the shirts. I had everything that the players had, but I had. So I went through. This guy says, oh, can you get me Zach Thomas's autograph? He's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And I looked at him, and I could tell he was like from out of state. He wasn't from here. I think he said he was from West Virginia. So I took his jersey. He had a plaque. I put it in a bag. I was in the VIP. Now I'm seeing him in the bleachers, at the first row where the handicap seating was. Now the practice ends. Zach Thomas didn't go sign anybody. He knew me because of my uncle who's a defensive line coach. So he says, "Hey, what's going on, Boston? What's going on, Boston?" So I asked him, "Is there any way you could sign this? There's this gentleman. He's in a wheelchair. He had the jersey and thing. He signed it." And then I brought it over, and Zach Thomas went over with me. And this dude cried. And his mom came, gave me a hug, and his wife came and gave me a hug. And I was like, yo, man, those are the moments where you know things are meant to be sometimes, you know, because I was there. I didn't ask these guys for nothing. I never asked for an autograph. I never asked for a picture, but I got pictures with all these guys. I showed Saul. Saul couldn't believe I got letters from these guys. I gave Saul a rain suit that I had got from my uncle and commemorative stuff that I had, tickets, stubs from games I went to back in the day. You know, and people don't realize some of the simplest things mean a lot to people. I mean, I'm not rich, I'm not poor. I've had a good life, and God willing, I continue to have a good life. You know, I've got to go all over the world. I got to go to tons of sporting events and get to do things, but just something simple like helping someone get a smile on their face. And I mean, you never know how that could turn somebody around. I mean, this was a grown man, obviously, but I mean, alongside with kids and there's people that do wonderful things and don't ask for anything in return. You know, when Ricky Williams left and he retired, when he first came back, when he looked like he was a homeless guy with the beard and the crazy hair, he only took one picture with anybody in the camp, and it was me. He came right up to me and he took a picture with me. And my uncle Clarence said, "Hey, why did he take a picture with you?" I said, "I don't know." Know why he took a picture of me? Because the day before we were talking and he said, "Where you from?" I said, "Massachusetts." He said, "Yeah, my daughter lives in Massachusetts. She lives in Boston. How far is that from where you live?" I said, "It's like 35 minutes. And we talk after practice all the time.
Okay. That's what's up, man.
Same thing with Jason Taylor. When Jason Taylor, I was a big Jason Taylor fan. When I told my Uncle Clarence I want to meet Jason Taylor, I brought Jason Taylor down a set of golf clubs. I brought Jason Taylor golf balls, him and his brother-in-law at the time, Zach Thomas. Zach Thomas was going in. He said, "Yo, you come on over." I took a picture with him. He called Jason. I took a picture with Jason. And then we talked. And, you know, I remember his son being like 4 or 5 years old, rolling him a football on the field, Mason, on the practice field. Now he's in the damn NFL. See how time fly?
On the Jets, too.
Yeah, of all teams. Yeah. Sad. But yeah, life has its karma, you know. We all want to do well, you know, definitely. I mean, I appreciate you having me on your show, man, and
I appreciate you being here.
allowing me to talk about all this fun stuff. Because, like I said, you know, I'm just a regular black kid, like anybody else in this country. Whether you're Spanish, white, black, Asian, Latin, we all the same. We all bleed the same. We all have the same cries, the same anxieties. It's when people try to differentiate stuff, and that's when you get people to act foolish and act ignorant towards each other. I mean, but the common bond is we all like each other, and we all should like each other. We all may not like the same teams, but we all definitely have our own fandoms. Everybody's responses are different. I don't care if you have 1,000 jerseys or you've been to 1,000 games. That doesn't make you any more devout a fan than the guy who never's been to a game or who may watch all the games in his home confines. And maybe that's what he likes better than being in the stadium. Because me and Saul were talking. There was this guy that lives out here. He's a Dolphin fan. Now, Saul was posting pictures from down the waterfront out here in the beach, and the guy says, "Hey, you look like you're in my hometown." And Saul says to him, "I am in your hometown." He goes, "What are you doing out there?" He says, "I'm going to the game with my boys from Massachusetts. I'm going to Sunday night game, the Dolphins." This guy is, I think he said he was in his 50s, and he's never been to see the Dolphins. But yet you got a guy from Philadelphia coming to see the Dolphins. But a guy that lives in the city and he only lives 32 minutes from the stadium has never been to one single Dolphin game here, which to me sounds crazy.
And one of the things I like about this show is kind of like one of the cool things is, let's say you're at a sports bar or a movie theater or at some random place, right? You pick the location, it doesn't matter. And you see a guy with a Dolphin keychain or Dolphin shirt on or Dolphin hat. And like, "Are you a Dolphin fan?" "Yeah, Dolphin fan." And we just start talking about Dolphin fans. And about our experience as being a Dolphin fans, our favorite players, and things like that. And that's why I kind of like doing this. It's kind of like I said, it's about letting people know where they come from as far as being a fan and things like that, getting their people's point of view. Because one thing I do, like you said, one thing I learned about the panel shows is when somebody's talking on the panel and they're trying to give their point of view, another guy, no, I don't agree with you, and then they start cutting each other off, and it just turns into this big chaos thing. This allows somebody to give them their uninterrupted one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? Let me listen. If I agree with you, it doesn't matter. I'm getting your viewpoints. You know what I'm saying? The show is about you. This is your episode. You know what I mean? And
which is really nice of you to do. Everybody's perspective is different. It's funny. I'm not social media conscious. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Snapchat. I'm not on Instagram. I'm on Twitter only because of the Dolphins.
For sure.
My daughter had set it up for me. That's how I met Saul. That's how I met pretty much most of the Dolphin fans that I generally break
we
bread
interact
with.
every once in a while.
Yep. And the funny thing is, everybody's circumstances are different. I don't care if you're rich, poor, black, white, whatever your religious and nationality. It's got nothing to do with did we complete a pass. And I find that a lot of people take the worst out of themselves. And then, like you said, a lot of times you're on a forum with somebody, and then if y'all discussing what you didn't like about Sunday's outcome, somebody got to cut you off and they got to express their opinion. And it gets to the point where it gets aggravating, where you're trying to say, well, Shake didn't like that call on third down, and maybe this would have been better, or this is his perspective. But people are so hateful to the fact that if they don't agree with your perspective, then you're stupid, or you don't know what you're talking about, or
you don't know football.
You don't know. But the sad part is that's your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to agree with you? If Shake wants to say, I eat steak in my house every day, Sunday through Sunday, is Shake wrong? That's Shake's opinion. What Shake does in his house is Shake's house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never understood why people have to validate their position by trying to demean yours.
Yeah.
Like if you said something.
What I eat don't make you shit. So, right.
Yeah. It's funny how, like my father used to say this all the time. People would rather be seen than heard. Like my father used to say, oh, you got people going to church every Sunday, right? Thinking that makes them more holier than the guy who never goes to church or may believe in God. Everybody's relationship with your higher power is your business. So if you went to church every Sunday, does that make you any more devout than me who may never go? How do you know how I worship, or how do I do what I do?
Yeah.
My father used to have this analogy. And I used to laugh all the time. He goes, just because you go to church every Sunday doesn't make you any more important to God than me standing in my garage making me a Cadillac.
Mm-hmm.
People would rather be seen than heard. You only can express Shake's view of what Shake thinks is right, or what Shake feels, or how Shake feels about a certain thing.
Yeah.
Everybody, like if you like a certain player, that's the biggest thing. I've seen so much Tua bashing. It's like, what? Can you name one thing that Tua has done to anybody in a violent, harassing way to make you demean this kid? Because he's team oriented. He's not out all night long because he doesn't do the things that you quote unquote like. Oh, all of a sudden he's a bad guy.
Well, it's kind of like Russell Wilson. He was kind of he wasn't the flashy guy. He was, what I'm saying, he kept to himself. Another perfect example, one of the best power forwards in the NBA, Tim Duncan. People didn't like him because he was just show up to work and that's it. He wasn't so out there socializing or partying or trying to be one of the hip, in crowd, players. You know what I'm saying? He just all he wanted to do was play basketball. That's it. And people didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, his play, what he did on
the tremendous. It was tremendous. How can you not like Tim Duncan? I'm a Houston Rockets fan, mind you, and Tim Duncan is top 2 power forwards ever that played the game, ever. I can't think of too many power forwards outside of him and Kevin McHale. And, I mean, you got Karl Malone and you had Barkley, but nobody's like Tim Duncan.
Yeah. Mr.
Especially,
Fundamental.
too, like out here, I live in Massachusetts. And for years, I continue. So I will tell you, I wear Dolphins hats every day when I'm out. And people will say, oh, here he comes. Oh, here he comes. Supermarket, CVS, wherever I go, that's who I like. It's not going to change because someone don't like it. The funny thing with people is we have a lot of closet fans. Like, oh, I'm not going to wear my hat or I'm not going to wear my shirt, but because what? You're proud of your team. No different of you being proud of your family or you're proud of your children. Or, man, listen, I'm Dolphins 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Baseball, football, basketball. I'm a football fan. I'm Dolphins. It ain't changing.
Preaching to
Don't
the choir.
matter.
And by the way, let's talk about the current team. Before we talk about the current team, I just got a notification saying that apparently Zach Seiler wants a trade.
Well, it's funny. I was watching NFL Live earlier today, and it said the Dolphins were in discussions to trade Jonnu Smith to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, I don't know. I think when we flooded the market, when we are the champs of the offseason, when we were going out and signing all these free agents, all the way back as far as Ndamukong Suh and Mike Wallace and Joey Porter, we have always spent at the cost of rebuilding our depth and building our team through youth. I mean, it's all conjecture. It's all rumor. I mean, we can't change anything because, like I said, we're fans. I mean, but it's getting really difficult to say every year if you're a season ticket holder or if you're a devout, maybe you go 5-6 games a year, to spend that good hard-earned money for a product that's going down.
Hold that thought real quick. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
No problem, brother.
So yeah, sorry about that. But no, one thing I noticed though, if you look at the players that we extended, it's all about all the players, like you said, all the free agents that we brought in. There were players, the big ticket free agents. Notice, I mean, when like Ndamukong Suh, Mark Wallace, all of them had jerseys. A lot of people were buying their jerseys. It was about they brought in players. It seems like they were bringing in players to sell jerseys. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's funny. I only own 2 authentic jerseys. I own an Aqua Reebok Zach Thomas and an Aqua Jason Taylor. I haven't bought a jersey since both of those guys stopped playing for the Dolphins. I only buy hooded sweatshirts, baseball caps, and T-shirts. I don't buy no jerseys. I'm not buying a $300 jersey with another man's name on. I always tell people if I'm buying a jersey or I get the customized T-shirts, I put my last name on it with my favorite player's number because I'm not being traded.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's why I wear 78 Shake. Well, from my
Mhm.
the year I was born, but Shake Money. I
Yes.
always wear Shake Money jerseys.
Hmm. I
That's
mean,
what I do.
because I've never seen any NFL player who leaves a team, regardless of who your favorite team is or who your favorite player is. They leave. You go to the store and say, "Oh, can I get a reimbursement?" They laugh at you. The only the only time I've ever seen anybody's jersey reimbursed was out here when Hernandez was convicted of the murders. They said you can come in and trade in your jersey for a current player,
Damn.
but they didn't say you can have your money back. They give you a gift card in the pro shop to something else.
But so what was your favorite draft pick, if you had to say?
This year's draft,
Yeah.
my favorite draft pick in this year's draft, I would say the second round pick, the guard from Arizona,
Mm-hmm.
because it was a need that we needed addressed. He's physical, and I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm not upset with any of the picks. I mean, we drafted on along what we needed. I mean, there are Dolphin fans who, listen to all these talking draft pundits, and this one said this. Listen, we needed positions of need. We needed to get physical on the offense and defensive line, which I feel was addressed.
Yeah.
And the sad part with our fan base, some of our fans are delusional. They want the shiny new toy. I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, we should draft the running back. Oh, we should draft the tight end." But you're seeming to forget that. Oh yeah, you could add a running back in the first round, or you could have added a tight end in the first round, or wide receiver in the first round. But who's going to protect the guy that has to throw that ball to that quarterback? I mean, that wide receiver, or that running back, or that tight end. And that's the thing people don't realize. Your quarterback's not going anywhere. He's here for this year, next year, and possibly a third year. So you got to protect the guy. I don't care that Tyler Warren was a tight end for Penn State. I don't care that Ashton GNT was a great running back for Boise State. We traded up 4 rounds to get a running back, which we did to get Jalen Wright. So you got to see what you got with him. Mm-hmm. You got Achane. You got Achane, you got Wright, and now you got the running back from Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon, a physical guy. So you got 3 different versions of backs, but you got to be able to push people off the ball in order to use these 3 different versions of backs. It don't make a whole lot of sense that, oh, we should have drafted this wide receiver, or we should have drafted this quote unquote tight end. What good's that if you can't protect the guy that has to throw that ball? Yeah. We have our fan base is so crazy. Like, since maybe in the last 10 years, with all these crazy free agent signings, the worst one that drives me crazy to this moment is when we signed Brent Jones, the cornerback from the Dallas Cowboys. But yet, we already had the guy who led the NFL in interceptions on our team that you didn't give a new deal. So you went outside of your organization to give more money to a cornerback than pay the guy that you had on your roster. And right there, you opened a big can of worms. And ever since that free agent signing of Brent Jones, which didn't work out, we pushed money down the road. And everybody who wanted money came within a year of saying, "Oh, I want a new deal. Oh, he got a new deal. I want a new deal." And before you know it, who do you got? We lost Christian Wilkins. We lost Robert Hunt. Those 2 right there are positions of need that we had that go into the draft to position ourselves to get guys to fill those 2 spots. We lost a Pro Bowler guard in Hunt, so we drafted a guy this year in the second round. We lost Christian Wilkins, who was wanted to stay. He was a model citizen here. They could have gave him a little bit more, but they waited to the point where he had such a good season that we couldn't pay him. So we drafted Kenneth Grant this year to fill his position. Mm-hmm. It makes me laugh. Van Ginkel, another one. He got a little bit of a raise. He could have gave it to him, but they didn't. Goes to Minnesota, becomes a Pro Bowler, gets a nice deal. We lost Igbanane to Dallas. We let him go. He turned out to be really good with the Commanders at the end of the year.
Yeah, he traded him to Dallas, actually.
Yep. And then that's what I'm saying. Our homegrown talent walks right out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Javon Holland. I mean, he was up and down. He was banged up, but you let your homegrown talent walk right out the door.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time that, you have to pay the piper. I mean, I understand you want to be flashy. You want to pay everybody on offense, which they did with Hill. They paid Waddle. They paid Hill. You paid Tua. Okay, that's fine. We lost Calais Campbell. We could have gave him a little bit of a deal. We draft this year along the lines. We needed to get physical. They drafted, I think, 3 defensive tackles, which is good. I mean, I'm excited about the physicality part of it. I mean, and there's going to be differences in our team come June, July, because there'll be other guys in the league that get released due to salary. Maybe we'll get a corner. Maybe we won't. But I'm optimistic about our team. I mean, I've been a fan for 55 years. So, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I mean,
No doubt, man. So before we get into our next segment, right, I have a question I want to ask you. All right. So being that you've seen, like I said, you've seen both of them in person. So who do you think was better? This group right here, or?
I'm going with Duper and Clayton.
So do you think, so let me ask you this. So if, let's say the 2023 Dolphins, if you would replace Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with Mark Duper and Clayton, we would have had this better results, do you think?
I'm going to say this. Duper and Clayton were great because they had a great quarterback.
Okay.
Marino's anticipation, Marino's deep ball was unbelievable. And his quick release, he made a lot of the things that today's game. You know what's funny, Shake? Today's NFL is different. You can't hit a quarterback today. You can't do half of the stuff that Marino went through. Marino was getting tackled high, low, hit at the knees. You can't do those things now. And Tua is smaller than Marino. He doesn't have the deep ball like Marino. I would say this: if Marino was playing in the league now, a prime Marino from Duper Clayton era, playing in today's era with Waddle and Hill and not being able to be hit, oh my God, he might throw for 6,000 yards. That's the difference with the groups. I mean, I'm no knock on Hill and Waddle. They're both great players. But the quarterback makes a big difference. And Marino suited up every game. And Marino had bad knees. He's always at the end of the year getting his knee cleaned out, cartilage injuries. He had the bad Achilles when he tore it in the baseball field in Cleveland. And he came back, and he was never the most mobile guy. But that release and that deep ball, oh my God. I mean, I seen it live plenty of times, and I'm like, a lot of people don't realize what you miss. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, like you said, but to be actually at a game and see Marino's, he was fiery too. I mean, he was like a lineman in a quarterback's body. He was tough on everybody. He was just unbelievable.
All right. So I'm going to have a bunch of pictures here. All right. Oh, some players, what I'm saying, from the past, some blasts from the past. And you tell me the first thing you think of when you see this player, okay?
Okay, brother. Oh, man, Manny Fernandez. That was one of my favorites growing up. Defensive tackle. Used to hunt alligators in the offseason. Oh, yeah, I loved Manny Fernandez.
Zach Sealer, man. Zach Sealer is the same thing.
Yep, I liked Manny Fernandez. He was one of my favorites growing up. Oh, yeah. Oh, my first jersey, Bob Greasy. Yeah, Bob Greasy from Purdue. He was very precise. He was like a professor. He didn't, do anything overly. He was a Hall of Fame, obviously, but Bob Greasy was pinpoint.
All right.
Oh yeah, that's my man Kim Bocamper. Yeah, I like Bocamper. The only thing that bothered me about Bocamper when that damn Joe Theismann knocked that interception out of his hand in the Super Bowl. against the Redskins. We would have finished that game off, and then they end up driving down the field. I mean, I met him last year at Fan Club Weekend, took a picture with him. Awesome dude. Very awesome dude. Oh, the GOAT, Don Shula, another one. I remember going Marino's second season, 84, to see them. I was in the Navy. I flew home from San Diego, seeing them. That was the year that the Dolphins were 14-2. They started out 13-0, and they beat New England in Foxborough. I brought my buddy Jeff, and I actually had the Sports Illustrated cover with Mark Clayton on it against the Washington Redskins, the season opener. It said Air Raid, and he signed my cover of my Sports Illustrated. And Mark Dupa had given his wristbands to my buddy Jeff. Oh boy, Dan Marino. Awesome. Only downfall, he never won a Super Bowl. Had great offenses, but the defenses was porous. I mean, by the time the defenses got good, it was too late in his career, and he didn't have the same personnel. And then the heartbreaking loss to Jacksonville, 62-7 in the playoffs. That was disgusting. And that's how his career ended. But all-time great, top four in my opinion. I don't care about you had to win a Super Bowl. On his own play, he was probably the best passer ever. I'm not talking about who had the most wins, because everybody's going to say, well, Tom Brady's the GOAT. I'm saying, and the actual playing the position, he was the best quarterback ever. If Joe Montana says it, I got to kind of believe him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Cameron Wake, another monster. Loved Cameron Wake. Cameron Wake was, he was intensity. He was like the Incredible Hulk playing defensive end. He'd fly off that wing. He'd knock you into next week. I remember being at the Bengals game where he sacked the quarterback in the end zone, and we won by safety in overtime. I remember that. Cam Wake. I was also at the game in Foxborough where he tore his Achilles. Yeah, Cam Wake was a monster.
That game, I think, was, right?
Yep. Cam Wake, he was a monster, man. Loved him. John Offerdahl, another one. Yep, he had the big shoulder pads. John Offerdahl, he was the Zach Thomas before Zach Thomas. He was everywhere, made all kind of plays. He was a good linebacker. I like John Offerdahl. Super intelligent. Oh yeah, Brian Cox and that team that I won't mention. I liked Cox. Cox was intense. The only thing I didn't like about Cox, there was a lot of times he took dumb penalties for, just his attitude, but he was a great player. I mean, those were the good Dolphin teams too, because I actually liked Louis Oliver back then and safety, and I like Jarvis Williams. Yeah, they had some good teams. They used to have some good wars with that team from, upstate New York, but and that's what I'm saying about sports. Everything's trends. You have a lot of runs where, like this most recent run, we're like 1-18 against that team from Western New York, and they've always been turned around by a certain play. It's not like they beat us 70-0, or the games always have been close. They could have gone either way. And people would always say, oh, is it a rivalry? Well, it's a divisional game. It's not a rivalry till you stop making it close where you're winning half the games. To me, it's not a rivalry. It won't be a rivalry till we, get that mentality where we can punch them in the mouth and say, hey, this has got to stop, As fans, we know what needs to be done. It just has to be applied on the field. Oh, yeah, right from Boston University, Crash Jensen. I love me some Jim Jensen. Played some wide receiver, played tight end, played on special teams. He was all around, man. He was a Swiss Army knife. I like Jim Jensen. Played some quarterback. He's from out here, Boston University. He was good at Boston University. Yeah, I like Jim. Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yep, I had his jersey back in the day. Yep, a Wilson Authentic. He was from UCLA. He wasn't too bad. The only 1,000-yard rusher that Marino had. He wasn't too bad. The only problem with him is he was small, and when Jimmy Johnson was a coach, he was trying to make him like an Emmitt Smith, but we didn't have the line to be. That's what was Marino got handcuffed because Jimmy came and he took the play calling away from Marino, where Marino couldn't audible and change plays. So we weren't as balanced as we could have been. But Abdul-Jabbar wasn't bad. He reminded me a lot of, he was similar to like a Terry Kirby we had, and Sammy Smith and Lorenzo Hampton. He was along those backs. He was decent. He wasn't nothing, he wasn't great, but he was decent. Oh boy. Jimmy. Jimmy was good. He was good more so with the University of Miami than he was with the Miami Dolphins.
And the Cowboys.
Yeah, well, he was good with the Cowboys because, he swindled the Vikings. My dad's team, rest his soul, Russell Houtman, getting 10 picks for Herschel Walker, and he turned their team around quick. Figure what he got out of that deal. Let's go to the bank and rob the bank without a mask and a gun, because that's what he did to the Vikings. But, he tried to turn us into Dallas, but it wasn't going to work because we didn't have the line that Dallas had. We didn't have Emmitt Smith, which we could have had Emmitt Smith, but Shula didn't want Emmitt Smith because he told Emmitt Smith that we're a passing team. We're not a running team. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
We could have had Emmitt Smith with Dan Marino and Dupa and Clayton.
By the way, I read in the Herald back in the day, back in 1996, I used to read my teacher's newspaper, and I read in the Herald saying that Deion Sanders wanted to come here, but they didn't want to sign him, so that's why he ended up going to San Francisco.
The funny thing about that, I seen an interview with Emmitt Smith, and Emmitt Smith says when he was a free agent, he wanted to play because he was playing for the Gators, Gainesville. He wanted to play for the Dolphins. He met with Shula, who's in a sense the Dolphins GM. He didn't have the title of GM, but he was in a sense the GM.
Kind of like Belichick, right?
Yep, and he told Emmitt Smith that the Dolphins were a passing team. They weren't about to put all that money into the running game. Just think about that for a minute. Same thing with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, Fort Myers. I remember Deion Sanders in a Dolphins preseason game when he was a free agent that summer, walking around with his mom and his family during the Dolphins preseason game. And everybody was like, oh, he's going to sign with the Dolphins. And the Dolphins didn't want him. They end up watching him walk to San Francisco. What happened? San Francisco wins the Super Bowl. And that's when we had Marino. That's when we had Dupa. We had a good team. Life is crazy sometimes. Like I said, I've been a fan since I was 6 years old, 1970. So you can imagine a lot of the dumb things that the Dolphins have done since 1974 when our dynasty got broke up in that sea of hands game against the Raiders. If you want to be sick, watch that game. That game will tell you everything you need to know.
I'm sure they're going to bring it up in the Madden movie. Remember, Nicolas Cage is doing the Madden movie. I'm sure.
Oh, man. That game right there. I'm telling you, Shake, if you ever have a chance, pull up the AFC divisional playoff game, the Dolphins at Oakland in 1974. And I'm going to tell you, that week was the only week of all games that I've watched over the 55 years as a fan that to this day in 2025 will still make me sick, will still make me scream at my girl, still make me mad, still make me frustrated. Yeah, man, I'm telling you. I got it recorded on my DVR, on my TV. I will never look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a depressing moment. Because you got to figure, we went to the Super Bowl 71, 72, 73. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, we're going to go 74 too because we were like so good. And that one stupid game where we had all of our secondary was injured. We had no Jake Scott that game. We had no Charlie Johnson. We had two rookies starting, Tim Foley and Charlie Babb. I can still remember it like it happened yesterday. I don't even want to get into it because it gets me upset. But, if you ever have a chance, Shake, you pull that up and watch it in its entirety, and you watch how the ebbs and flows of that game. And we had the game late in the game won. We lost 28-26.
All right. How about this guy?
Oh, I love Juice. Jarvis Landry, a physical, tough guy. LSU. The sad part is we could have kept him. But, we priced ourselves out, and then what did they do? You know, he ended up with Cleveland. It was never the same. But I like Juice Landry. He was tough.
And last but not least,
I like Tua. I mean, do you know what makes me laugh about fans? When Tua was at Alabama, before he got hurt, he was the best player in college football. We would have loved to have gotten him. He was the number one player till he ruptured his hip, and then he was out. And then Joe Burrow had that great year. But Tua was better than Joe Burrow till that injury. Everybody seems to forget that. And then everybody seems to forget that he had an injury where he might not have ever walked again, let alone to play NFL quarterback. You have to get your blood going back through your bone and into your hip. And he also sustained other lower leg injuries during that one injury to his hip that he had to regenerate the muscle and get everything back. And everybody, made it seem like, oh, well, it takes a while to do those things. I don't care. You're not a machine. You're human. I've broke my leg. I've torn my Achilles. And I don't play NFL football. And I'm not saying that I can be better than I was yesterday, but it takes a lot to having your spirit to get back to where you want to get back to. And it's not like you don't want to be great. Everybody wants to be great. You want to be the best you can at whatever you do. Like my father says, if you're a plumber, be the best plumber you can be. If you're a painter, be the best painter you can be. I mean, there's pitfalls and there's obstacles for everybody. I don't care who you are in everyday life, sports, entertainment, music, fashion, whatever your niche is, be the best at it. Like, you're good at your show. This is the first time I've ever been on your show. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Sure.
I give a lot of respect to you and Papa Paul, West Coast, and Jay. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I respect the fact that a lot of content people who do things the right way and put their egos to the side to address certain issues and certain situations with our fan base. I mean, we all are different. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, there are some shows I've watched, and I'm not going to knock anybody because I don't do that. I mean, there's some shows that aren't informative. There are some shows that are super informative. I mean, I appreciate you having me on your show. And if I can ever contribute in the future, I'm more than happy to do it. Just like I have told Papa Paul and John O'Halloran, those guys are awesome. Saul will tell you I'm not a social media guy. I got people out here want me to get on shows. I got other people. But, for me personally, I like certain people. And I mean, I don't judge anybody. Yeah. But there's certain people you want to break bread with, and then there's some other people you don't want no bread with. You just, you keep it moving, stay in your lane. Like I tell my girl this all the time. Why am I going to go to Dunkin' Donuts for pizza? If you're good at making donuts, stay good at making donuts. Stay in your lane. If you know what you're talking about, stay in your lane. There are a lot of people, like I had an argument with Stephen A. Smith on Twitter, because Stephen A. Smith's, he's good at what he does, but he's really not as informative. I mean, heck, if I went to an algebra test in school and I knew somebody who was great in algebra and I got a headset on and they give me all the answers, well, of course I'm going to be great at what I do. Like, he says a lot of wrong things that people don't realize. And then, like, if you're not I won't say I'm a know-it-all because I'm not a know-it-all. Mm-hmm. But if you going to put something out there, especially when it comes to the Dolphins, believe me, I'm going to check you on it. There was a show that he had mentioned about the GOATs at quarterbacks, the 5 best GOATs. And he had Marino at 6 instead of in the top 5. And his reasoning being was because Marino never won a Super Bowl. So I said, okay, that's fine. And then his next statement was, well, Marino didn't win a Super Bowl because he had a great offense. He had Mark Clayton, Mark Dupa, and Chuck Muncie. Mm-hmm. Do you see anything wrong with that?
Nat Moore, don't forget Nat Moore.
No, I'm saying, but what I had just said, do you see anything wrong with that?
No, what I mean,
there was something wrong with that.
Muncie?
Chuck Muncie was never a Dolphin. He got traded to the Dolphins, but he never played an actual game with the Dolphins because he failed the drug test that summer. So the trade got reverted back to the Chargers. Then they tried to send him to Seattle. And then Chuck Knox, who was the coach of Ground Chuck and the Seattle Seahawks, didn't want him. So what happened was he ended up getting released. When he got released, He went to the Minnesota Vikings that summer. He played 3 preseason games. He was a leading rusher in the preseason that year. And then he retired before the season started. He never played a game with the Vikings. He played in the preseason. But he will continually say, Chuck Muncie, Chuck Muncie, Chuck Muncie. And most Dolphin fans would be like, oh, they're cool with it because they only hear Marino, Duper, and Clayton. So if you're going to put out wrong information, be wrong all the time. Don't be wrong and just gloss over stuff, you know? And I hate that about, you know, and I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to know what I know or everything's supposed to be what Shake knows. I mean, we all know all our differences and what we feel is right. But if you're going to say such a wrong statement, especially when you're on a forum that millions and millions of people who are listening to you, the casual fan's just going to take what you say and say, yep, he's right. He's right. He's right. No, he's not right. You know, listen, Marino, my goats. If I'm having a Mount Rushmore quarterbacks, it's Marino, it's Montana, it's Manning, and it's Brady. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks. Like, I had an argument with this guy out here. He said that because Marino didn't win a Super Bowl, that he wasn't a great. So you're telling me because Brad Johnson won with Tampa Bay, Trent Dilfer won with Baltimore Ravens, Jay Schrader won with the Redskins. So those guys are all better than Dan Marino.
Yeah, Terry Bradshaw won 4. Come on, I don't think he's better than Marino.
Yeah, everybody seems to forget that football is not boxing. Football's not tennis. Football's not golf. You can win by yourself. Who gets the blame if you win in golf? You're the only one playing. Same thing with boxing. You're the only one in the ring with your opponent. Same thing with tennis. You're the only player on one side of the net. Marino has to count on 21 other guys, 11 on defense and 10 on offense with him to succeed.
Yeah.
This is what people don't understand.
And that's what you know, and that's what people have been trying to explain about too as well.
You know,
and you know what? It's the same premise.
Yeah, everybody don't realize it's not like anybody. I don't care who you are. You don't get up in the morning and shake and say, I want to have a bad day. No. You pray that your day goes the way it's supposed to be. And obviously there's going to be obstacles. There's going to be pitfalls. And you're going to just do what you can with what you got. I hate when people are doom and despair every single play. I mean, you critical of every single moment. Listen, everybody has an off day. Everybody gets sick. I've not met one person on this planet yet who hasn't had a bad day, hasn't been sick, hasn't had a sore this or sore that, and forgot something, lost something, got in a minor accident, had missed breakfast, and everybody goes through the same anxieties. It's just different levels. You know, we all hope for the best, and you pray that the worst doesn't encounter you and family members. I can't stand when I hear people bash this kid over stuff that makes absolutely no sense. I mean, it's not like Tua got drafted by the Dolphins and he didn't want to be drafted. It's not like he wants to be bad. It's not like he wants to turn the ball over. It's not like he wants to be injured. But people make such a sport of this kid because he's not loudmouth or he's not me type of guy. I mean, it's aggravating sometimes. But you gotta take the good with the bad.
So, all right, check this out. I usually do 5 categories, but because, like I said, you have a wealth of knowledge, I'm going to give you all the categories that I have as far as award ceremonies. All right, so I'm going to I'm going to call out a position. Who is your favorite? Who is the best Miami Dolphin? Your favorite or best, whatever you want to categorize it, of all time Miami Dolphins.
Oh my God, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough, Shake.
I know you're up for the challenge, man. And
oh my God, my favorite or the best? Because I got favorites and I got best.
Whichever you want to do it, I don't care.
Okay, well I'll explain my positions when you say whatever it is. I'll try to explain to the best.
And here's the caveat, though: you can't name the same player more than once.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, here we go. Let's starting out with the wide receiver.
My favorite wide receiver for the Dolphins was Mark Clayton. But the best Miami Dolphins receiver that I've ever seen is Paul Warfield.
Paul Warfield. Oh yeah. He's probably listen. He added an extra dimension to that 72 team.
Yep, he was a deep threat, and he was a good receiver on the slants. He was incredible. But that's what I'm saying. I was born in the 70s, so I'm gonna have a different version. Like I said, it's similar to old school rap and new rap. I mean, it doesn't mean it's better. Don't mean it's just my opinion. So if people want to say, "Oh, you shouldn't say this," hey, it's my opinion. Don't worry about what I say.
Yeah, exactly. Do this. Who gives a shit? Anyway, cornerback.
My favorite cornerback was Sam Madison.
Mm-hmm.
If I say the best cornerback, I would say it is
Noah Monogamy. No, it's playing.
I'll probably go with the best cornerback. I'm gonna say probably I'm saying Sam Madison was my favorite. The best, I would go with Patrick Surtain.
Physical, very physical, that dude.
Yep, I liked both of them because they were great together. But I mean, Madison was my favorite, but the best was Patrick Surtain.
All right, your favorite Miami Dolphins trade?
My favorite Miami Dolphins trade was my favorite Dolphin trade. I have a couple of them. I would say probably getting Paul Warfield from the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I like that trade, and I also liked. Let me see another trade. Paul Warfield from the Browns, and Earl Morrow, getting Earl Morrow from the Colts.
Yeah.
Yep, that because Greasy got hurt against the Chargers. Earl Morrow led us through the whole regular season until that Pittsburgh second half game in the AFC Championship, which is funny. We were 16-0 at that time. I mean 15-0, and that game was in Pittsburgh because they had the rotating rotating AFC Championship games. So imagine that we were 15-0 playing the AFC Championship in January in Pittsburgh. Think about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Playing in the cold, the South Florida team playing in Pittsburgh in the AFC Championship, and we were undefeated.
Yeah, I remember we went that year. All the games were road games. We went to San Diego too.
Well, no, we played Cleveland in the first round. We beat Cleveland, and then we went to Pittsburgh.
Okay. I'm thinking of the longest game. My bad. All right.
Oh, that was the 71 season. That was against Kansas City.
Well,
when we beat them in the longest game, we beat them in a field goal, and then we lost to Dallas in the Super Bowl. That was 71.
Defensive favorite, defensive MVP.
Defensive MVP, not a position.
Yeah, your position. Your favorite defensive player.
My favorite defensive player of all time.
Yeah.
Oh boy. My favorite defensive player. I'll give you my favorite, and then I'll say who's the best.
Okay.
My favorite defensive player was Jason Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
The best defensive player for the Dolphins probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go either Zach Thomas or Dick Anderson.
Vince TV 305. What's going on? Sam Madison. Oh yeah. Running back.
My favorite running back was Larry Zonka. And the best running back we had was Ricky Williams.
Linebacker?
The best linebacker? My favorite linebacker was Zach Thomas. The best linebacker? Ooh, it's tough. It could be Nick Bonacani or...
He had a receiver's number.
Yeah, Bonicani was tough, man. I like Nick Bonicani. Like I said, I was brought up in the 70s. I like Nick Bonicani, Zach Thomas. Yeah. It's A1 and AB for me. They're both great.
All right. Best Miami Dolphins free agent.
Miami Dolphins free agent who wasn't drafted by us. Let's see.
Yeah. Who's the person off season when you find out we signed him? You're like, goddamn, hell yeah.
I'm gonna say Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson.
Yep, the tight end. He used to be with Green Bay and Philly. When he signed with the Dolphins, he was incredible with us.
What's
like
serendipitous? Tight end is the next category.
Okay. My favorite tight end for the Dolphins was Randy McMichael.
Junior Shea was another good one. Yeah.
And
I love Randy McMichael. He was the first player to wear he was the first player to get OJ McDuffie's number.
Yep, 81. Mm-hmm. I liked Randy McMichael a lot. And he was actually a really good guy.
I asked OJ McDuffie who was because there's like they had 11 number 81s. Who was his favorite number 81 besides himself? He said Randy McMichael was his favorite number 81.
Yeah, Randy McMichael was super cool. Like I said, when Wanstead was
Georgia
there,
too, right? I believe he was from Georgia, right?
Yep, Georgia Bulldog. Yep, he was super cool. He was like one of my favorites at the camp. I'm telling you, because very down to earth, very laid back. He had that southern drawl accent. He was super cool.
I used to call him the bullfrog because that's what he looked like.
Mm-hmm. Had that puffy lip. Yep.
Mm-hmm. My man Cosnosa, I like Eric Green. Was pretty good.
Yeah, Eric Green was good when he came from the Steelers. Yeah, he wasn't bad. We also had Farrell Edmonds. Wasn't bad. We had Dan Johnson. We had Bruce Hardy. I mean, we had a lot of good ones.
You know, but you know what amazes me is I found this out last year, and I really didn't realize that none of our thought of all the good. You know, we could compile a good list of tight ends that we've had over the years, and I'm just finding out none of them had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, because I mean, we were based a lot of our attack was on our receivers with Duper and Clayton. We had Tony Martin, and we had a lot of good receivers.
All right, offensive line.
My favorite offensive lineman was Larry Little when I was a kid in the 70s.
Larry Little.
But the best is Dwight Stevenson.
By the way, HBCU. I love HBCU. So
yeah, Larry Little was my favorite, but the best was Dwight Stevenson.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's no slat on. I mean, Kuchenberg was incredible. Jim Langer was incredible. Wayne Moore was incredible. Norm Evans. That offensive line in the 70s, 72, 73, 74, that line was incredible. Greasy was like, man, we ran the ball. We were physical. We knocked you off the ball. I mean, in the Super Bowl, I think Greasy against Minnesota might have only thrown the ball like 13, 14 times. Zonka had set a Super Bowl record at the time. Our running game was Zonka, Morris, and Kick. Whew.
All right. Miami Dolphins safety.
My favorite was Louis Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
The best was Dick Anderson.
Oh, yeah. What about Jake Scott? Wasn't that dude who
Jake Scott was good too. Yeah, he was good. Jake Scott was good. Number 13, the MVP of the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rashad Jones. Yeah, Brock Marion was good too. I like number 31.
Yeah, they were all good. Yep, they were all good. Jarvis Williams. Yeah, there was a lot of good ones. And
finally, last but not least, your offensive MVP. Oh, I forgot before that, and then I got one more category I forgot, which is QB. Obviously, it's gonna be Marino. So.
Oh yeah, easy Marino. Yeah. Come on, man.
I don't really got to expound on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Offensive MVP.
Offensive MVP. I'm going. Well, I can't say the same ones over because you said not the same again. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pull a offensive MVP because obviously Marino's my quarterback, so I'm not picking him as my offensive MVP. I'm gonna go Ronnie Brown because Ronnie Brown did a lot.
Oh yeah, I love Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown did a lot.
As a matter of fact,
Yeah, Ronnie Brown did a lot. Ronnie Brown was running, he was blocking, he was catching, he did the wildcat, he threw the ball. Ronnie Brown was, he was tough.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I wasn't going to go Ronnie Brown, I could have went Mark Duper.
Mark Duper, hell yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah, man.
So, all right. Last but not least, and once again, man, this has been amazing. I had my cigar, my vodka and cranberry. It was a good time, man. As always,
I appreciate you, brother, man. Thanks for having me on your show, man. And
thanks
like
for
I
coming
said,
on.
there are a lot of content creators that you enjoy being around, and I'm wishing you nothing but success, brother. I thoroughly enjoyed my time on your show.
Did you
And
get to see the? Did you get to see the Paris Love episode?
yes, I did, my brother. It was a good one too.
Yeah,
I want to give out some love to some people.
Okay, please.
First and foremost, I'd like to say God bless Ian Berger, Big E. Hopefully your health turns around, man. Hopefully God Allah will sustain you and get you right. I mean, he's a good dude, solid contributor, big time dude. Like to say what
Yeah,
up to Allie Goodman and her husband Jared. Man, that's family right there.
She was in the first season of In the Blender.
Yep, she's solid, man. All the contributions she does for people all around South Florida, whether it's hurricanes, whether it's pets, whether it's just looking out for people, man. Her spirit is strong. She's got a good heart. Her and her husband Jared, incredible. Like to say, continue to do what you do. You're a godsend. There's also,
if I may say real quick, sorry to cut you off, but if I may say real quick, one of the things I could attest is the fact that, look, before she was on the show, she didn't know me who I was. So I inboxed her on Instagram. I said, hey, I'm doing the show In the Blender. I was wondering if you could have me on as a guest. And then I put on I sent a clip. I sent the episode of what I did. So she knows I'm the real deal. I'm not just no creepy stalker. And she goes, oh, man, I'll be more than happy to. So the fact that she didn't know who I was, but she knew I was doing Dolphin content creator, and she was willing to come on the show to help support my show, says a lot about her character. But yeah, go ahead, continue. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, man, she's like I said, she's aces. Amy and Lisa Siegel. Lisa's this year's fan of the year. Incredible what they do for the cancer drive, and just overall solid. You got Ashley and Lou. They do wonderful things with the fan club events on the road, and they're good people also. You got Mian, aka Bad Wahini. She does a lot through her workouts and helping people get in good condition, and mentally as well as physically. You got Gloria and Jenna, who I met in the end zone the first year I went to fan club weekend. They do a lot for military families and the cancer drive. And you got Nisi and West Palm, and she lives in Marietta, Georgia. She's another one. She's super solid. You got Bob up in New Jersey. You got my, of course, family. Saul Winters, my guy right there. That's family out in Philly. You got Papa Paul out in North Florida. You got John Holleran in New Jersey. You got Lunacy in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I mean, like I said, you got Dirk in Germany. Johnny O in New Jersey. I mean, there's so many people that, just do wonderful things that don't get acknowledged. I mean, and I'm not here to say, because I didn't say your name, that you ain't important, because you are important. I'm just saying that the people that I've come in contact with, I met people in the West Coast. The guy that runs the fan club weekend does the North Cal. I think it's North Cal. Derek, I think his name might be. He runs it unbelievably. There's a lady, Eva Cole, in Beverly Hills. She writes books, children's books. She does wonderful things. There's a girl I met from Cali last fan club weekend, solid. Filipino, I think. I mean, there's so many good people that don't get acknowledged for just the wonderful things they do for others, and they don't put themselves. I mean, I used to tell people all the time, I ain't here for clicks and followers. You know, I'm here for the goodness and integrity and character of people. I would rather break bread with people who are different rather than I don't want you to be a follower. I want you to be a leader. Lead in what you do best. And
Mhm.
again, Shake, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, yeah.
Your show's A1 with me. If you
Mhm.
ever need me for anything, like I said to you, if you ever want to come up, you and your girl, whether it's a summer, you want to come up for a football game, you want to come
Yeah,
up for
yeah.
a baseball game, you got me out here. You solid, man. I
No,
mean,
no, appreciate you, man. And
I
by the
I
way, my man Raphael Courtright, he's a Marine, and he says thanks for your service, Squid. So I guess that's like a
yeah, you
interrogatory.
are. You know what? You tell Raphael. Thanks, I appreciate that. You tell him we used to have Marines from Pendleton come to our A school in San Diego, and we had a name for them. They call us the Squids, and we used to call them USMC for United States Misguided Children. And Semper Fi, hoorah! Love you, Raphael, my brother.
Yeah, man.
Tell him I appreciate his service, and I hope he enjoyed Paris Island, the home of the sand flea.
Yeah, apparently they eat crayons, so
Well, that's okay. They used to say, "You want to get a Marine pissed off? Tell them look on their uniform. They have a insignia that they wear on their lapels. It's a globe with an anchor through it, and then you know what it says?
what?
USMC. But you know what the USMC is? A department of the Navy. So you'll always be second to the Navy. Remember that.
Hell yeah.
Tell Raphael enjoy that, my brother.
Oh man. I'm a Hollywood Marine, San Diego MCRD.
Yep. Tell him I went to boot and my A school in San Diego. I was on the USS Coronado in 83, 84. My ship, people always say, oh, you're going to go to your ship's reunion? Not unless I got scuba gear because it's at the bottom of the ocean in Guam. They made it to a man-made reef.
Yeah, I have actually, matter of fact, I have a buddy of mine. We're gonna listen. We're doing an all military thing called Insomnia. I would like to have you represent the Navy. I did two.
Oh, Lord.
I have the episode. I did an episode with Nene. She was the Army. This guy was the Marines. I have an Air Force guy, and of course, you could probably be the Navy. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I have to represent the
my
fleet.
Believe it or not, my co-host Crypto. He's a double veteran. He joined when he was out of high school. He joined the Army and served in Italy, and then
I was stationed in Italy. It was funny. I was stationed in Naples.
Yeah, and then and then in the Navy, he was stationed in Germany.
You mean the Army?
Yeah. No, okay. So I got it wrong. Then when he was in the Army, then he went to Germany. Then
the Army's in Germany. Yeah, my brother Marcus was in the U.S. Army. He was stationed in Germany. Yep. It was funny because when my brothers went in the Army, there was only 2 duty stations that they would send people to. They would either send you to Germany or they send you to Korea, and then they added Panama. Now you join, they send you. They were sending people to Afghanistan, Iraq. You know. Because, I mean, with terrorism and all the stuff that was going on in the Middle East. Back then, when I was in the Navy, we went to the Middle East. I mean, we had Desert Storm, but we were off the coast. And we went to, we were in the Gulf of Sidra with Libya, but we never went on, the shores. I mean, we went Jeddah, the Red Sea, Saudi Arabia, but we never, actually went to these places. I mean, most of our thing, we were in the Western Pacific. Back then, Hong Kong was under British rule. So we was in Hong Kong, with Malaysia, Indonesia. We were stationed Subic Naval Base in the Philippines. And I lived there, and I lived in Yokohama in Japan.
Oh, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Did you speak any of the languages that you've been to, or no?
No, I knew a little things, but I mean, not it's funny, in the Philippines in the mid 80s to the early 90s, it was crazy because everybody, whenever we came in, they would have these things, these dinghies come out and would bring us into shore, and there was a fence probably about 100 yards, like a football field, and there was all kind of girls and families. They all want to get married and want to come to America. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's similar to like the border, in Mexico. Everybody wants to come here, but they were all working on the bases, trying to get in relationships with people, figuring that because it's considered, even though you're on a base overseas, it's because it's U.S. If you had a child with somebody, they're a U.S. citizen, even though they're from wherever. So a lot of girls were trying to get with sailors and military personnel in order to become American citizens. Yeah, it was different. Definitely different.
And by the way, as we speak, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm finding Raphael Courtright. Where is he? Yeah, that's the Finn. Raphael.
Yeah, I'm reading what he says. He says he's been to that base. Yep. In mainland Japan. Yep.
I'm gonna send you the episode he did, and he talks about his days, and he has pictures and things like that of his time with the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good watch.
Saul has a friend in Alabama that we talk to on conference calls a lot, named Jay, and he's super cool. He's a Marine. We always talking. He's from the West Coast, so we chat a lot. We chatted.
How did you guys get the name Squid?
Well, squid's, the octopus in the ocean. That's what the Marines call it, Navy. Like with the Army, we used to call the Army the mud puppies. We used to call the Coast Guard the shallow water sailors. Yeah, because they don't go past the coast. So we used to call them. You got to get a permission slip from Mommy to go far out. We used to call them the shallow water sailors. Yeah, man. And the Fly Boys, the Air Force, their boot camp. We used to call it Cub Scout training because it was only 6 weeks at the time. Yeah, we had some good times with people.
What do you call the National Guards?
What do we call the National Guards? Glorified Boy Scouts.
Damn, you guys are
because they only serve a weekend a month. You only serve a weekend a month. That's a camp out. You could do that in your backyard. I mean, no disrespect to the Coast National Guard because they're still military. It's just all jokes. I don't want nobody. Yeah, I don't want nobody from the National Guard boycotting your show, saying that son of a gun from the Navy talking all that. I'm gonna get him. You know how people are. They take joking for seriousness. I respect all the services. I don't give a damn if you were ringing a bell at the mall with an army suit on and Toys for Tots. Yeah, you're still a military. I got love for you. It ain't personal. Don't take it personal. It's only Russell's opinion. It's all jokes.
Yeah.
Russell ain't trying to sharpen his knife and go to war with people I don't know.
Raphael says Weekend Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
He said, here. He agrees with you though.
Yeah, it's all fun. Like I said,
service,
yeah, it's all fun, man. I appreciate anybody. Listen, I tell people this all the time. You can go anywhere in your life. I don't care where you go, but it takes a lot to stand in front of a gang of people and swear allegiance to defending your country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and not knowing who, where, why, and when something could happen. It takes a lot. It's not like going to college where you don't like college, you can drop out. You don't go in the Navy or the Army and the Marines and they put you in a hostile environment. You was like, I want to go home. You ain't going home. You can go home one or two ways. You can go home the right way or you can go home in the wrong way. And I mean, there's no good, bad, or indifferent. You got to defend what you hold dear. Like I've had arguments with people who scream and holler about like me. I'm not big on the flag because you're not fighting for the flag. You're fighting for the people that live under the flag. Mm-hmm. You're fighting for whoever lives in your country to defend them personally against somebody's view that you shouldn't be free or you shouldn't have the opportunity to go where you want or eat what you want or talk any way you want. Because there are places, listen, I've been to them. There's places where you can go. You can't do the simple things that you do here. Like, you can't go to Saudi Arabia and say, I don't like the king. They'll cut your tongue out. You can't go to some of the places in Africa and say, oh, screw that leader, or F this or F that. You won't make it. At least if you don't like the president here, or you don't like your local governor, or you don't like your mayor, you can say, oh, I don't like that son of a gun. He ain't this, or he ain't that, or she ain't this, or she ain't that. You can say those things.
No doubt.
You ain't going to Oman. You ain't going to Yemen. You ain't going Bahrain and stealing apples or stealing a car or doing something in a criminal way and going to court. Oh yeah, you'll go to court, but they'll cut your hand off. You ain't raping children and being a pedophile in these countries. You get castrated. Here, you can do all this because why? We have freedom. You have the right to an attorney. You have the right to fight your case. They're like, listen, my father used to always say, if you're a criminal in the Middle East, you've got two opportunities. You got two hands. If they cut your hands off, the only thing you're going to be stealing is donuts.
Yeah.
People don't realize, like,
Not the jelly kind. You can't steal jelly donuts.
you got so much unlimited freedom here. Some people overdo it with their freedom. I mean, I don't care about. People always ask me, Russell, what party do you belong to? Are you a Republican? You're a Democrat? You're independent? Know what I tell them? I belong to only one party. It's any party that has girls and food at.
Hell yeah, me too.
I don't care about what you vote. I don't. That's whatever you vote for. That's your business. That's just like a person's relationship with God. Whatever your religion is, your business. It's not for me to decide what's right for Saul. It's not right for me to decide what's right for Sheikh or Paul or any of our friends. All I can say is, I wish you none but the best, peace and tranquility for you and your people. That's it. I don't give a damn. Oh, he likes this one. Oh, he's anti this, or he shouldn't say this. Listen, I can only judge one guy, and that's me. And I only can account for what the actions of that one guy. That's me. If someone don't like what my views are on the Dolphins, you're entitled to not like my views on the Dolphins. If you don't like my favorite player, you remember the magic words. That's my favorite player. It doesn't have to be along the lines that you want it to be. It's just a opinion. That's what I'm saying. Our fan base is so aggressive and so delusional about a choice that Sheikh might like. If Sheikh likes his favorite player is the kicker, that's Sheikh's business. Why do you care?
Yeah.
Is it changing your bills?
Exactly.
You still got to pay your gas and electric at the end of the week or the end of the month.
Yeah, so please leave me alone about liking Liam Meikenberg because he is about the GOAT. By the way, this is the guy I was telling you about. Army Navy guy. He's a 2-time veteran right here, my man Crypto.
What's up, Crypto? Peace, my brother. Hey, you served, man. I always tell people all the time, man, I could have went to college. I got recruited to play college football. But, sometimes your path's different. Because when I was a kid, I used to watch Victory at Sea every single night. And it was all the old World War II clips of the Navy. And I was hooked. I wanted to be in the Navy, man, when I was 11 years old. And I was like, it just turned out the way it worked out. I mean, I could have went to University of New Hampshire. I could have went to University of Vermont. I got football scholarships to go. But I never liked school. My mother had it was like a dentist pulling teeth to get me up every morning. The only good part I liked about school was there was girls at school and it was free lunch. I hated school. I hated math. And it was like, listen, I got good grades just to get out of there. I went for 4 years. I graduated in 4 years. I didn't care if I got a C in algebra. Who cares? How's algebra going to help me in the Navy? That's what I used to think. I ain't never heard anybody be out in the public world. Say you're coming out of an ATM at night and a robber pulls a gun on you and says, hey, tell me who died in 1971 in blah, 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 in history. It's like, give me your money. They ain't trying to find out what if you know the 6 to the power of, or tell me.
You're going to be history.
Yeah. I never understood why these things were made so like you have to know these things. I mean, it's cool if you're in the computers or if you're drafting or you're in a thing where these things are needed with certain sciences. And I ain't got no problem with that. But I'll be damned. I'm going to argue with somebody about physiology and calculus and trigonometry. I mean, they all sound important, but not if you ain't planning on doing that. If you're painting, I don't think you need to know trigonometry to paint.
If you're going to be a hairstylist.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to cut your hair 6 to the power of 11. What? You know what I'm saying? People just, I mean, like I said, I'm a stickler for education because I had my daughter. My daughter graduated summa cum laude. She works a great job. She graduated top of her class in high school and college. So, I mean, I understand the value of having a good education, but I used to always say to her, if she got a B in something and I our big response was, did you give it an honest effort? If she said, yeah, then I can't complain with a B. But if you got a C and you were like, well, I didn't study for it, then I'm going to get on your case. You know, it's like anything. I mean,
One,
you didn't try.
yeah, one of my favorite sayings is in life, sometimes you can't control the outcome, but you can't control the effort you put into it.
That's right. You know, my father used to say this all the time. You have to live with your decisions. If you don't put in the work, you can't expect a good result if you're not putting in the work. I don't care who you are. Everybody has God-given ability, but people don't realize every human being's given a gift. It depends on how you work on that gift. Not everybody can go the NBA or the NFL or be a professional in a certain sport or the best entertainer or the best this or that. But every gift that you're given, if you work on the gift, you better yourself and you better your chances of using the gift.
No doubt. Real quick. I remember Crypto. Correct me if you're still here. I don't know if it was in the Navy, or the Army, but I remember he said he was overseas listening to the San Diego game on a short wave radio.
Yeah, that's a military radio. Yeah, military station. Yep.
Yeah, so he said
that was 81. I was in high school. That was my junior year, 81, against the Chargers. Yeah, that was at the Orange Bowl. I ended up throwing my TV through my window in my bedroom.
So what was it, the Navy Crypto, or was it the Army that you heard it on the shortwave? Just remind me. But when you were overseas, how did you stay in tune with the Dolphins when you were overseas? How did you get your Dolphins news when you were overseas?
Me?
Yeah.
I used to get a lot of the thing through. Back then, we were getting sporting news. I mean, they still had newspapers, you know. I was mainly doing a lot of because this is way before like the internet and all that stuff. So you're getting Football Digest. I mean, you were reading the weekly paper, the newspaper, you know. We were getting, I mean, we're still American based. So we were getting the local paper, well, mainly because we were on the West Coast. So we were getting LA Times, you know. I was in San Diego. I was getting the San Diego newspaper. But when we were overseas, mainly most of the stuff we got was like a week old. Some places, a lot of places, like in Japan, you know, you would get like, they had the worldwide news, local news. I mean, I didn't understand the language, but you could know when sports was on. I mean, and the games were weird because if, say, hypothetically, the game was being played at 1 in Florida, it might have been like 3 a.m. out in Japan or some bizarre time. And we had, you know, the listings of what games are on, so we could get to, they had TV. I mean, you know, and then you're talking, this is way back in the day with satellites. So we got to see all that stuff. The Navy has changed a lot now. The Navy, like a lot of aircraft carriers, it's like a big, like a sports bar almost. They got internet. They got all the stuff that we have, like normal citizens. They got all kind of access to a lot of stuff. So it's not like you're gonna miss games. I mean, you see the military when they're watching the Army Navy game, they're watching it. It's just different times, obviously, because you're in different parts of the world. The time zone is different. Like 2 years ago, I went to the Army Navy game at Foxborough, and I was wearing my Navy hooded sweatshirt and naval baseball cap, and I was going to war with Army guys, and they beat us. Well, they stopped us on 3 plays on the goal line. Oh man, I was furious leaving that place. And it was even worse because I went with my uncle, and he's an Army vet, and I bet him $100. Oh man, it was an ugly ride home, man.
I bet you there's a lot of trash talking right between the two.
Oh man, we were going at it halftime. You're walking around getting food. Navy sucks, Army sucks, blah, blah. We're going back and forth, and people you don't even know. And that was the first time it was ever in Foxborough, because it used to always be in either Philadelphia or Washington, the games. And then they started rotating it. 1 year they did it in the West Coast, but then they had it 2 years ago at Foxborough. Kraft had it over there. That place was outrageous. It was crazy. And I was like,
in 2019, I went to visit my cousin because he lives in Maryland. He was in Maryland station, lives in Maryland now. And as I was looking out through this, like during the daytime, as I was flying towards the airport, I seen a big stadium, and on the ground it said Navy.
Well, they play in Annapolis. That's in Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the U.S. Navy. Yep, is in Annapolis, and West Point in New York is the Army, and the Air Force is in Colorado. So yeah, those are wars. And this year we won the Commander in Chief's trophy. We beat Army and Air Force, so we hold that trophy for the year. Yep, nothing better. And we won our bowl game. We beat Oklahoma. Yeah, man.
That's funny. The Air Force has a football team. The Navy, Army. Why don't the Marines have one?
The Marines are part of the Navy.
Okay.
Department of the Navy. That's why you're bad. He's quiet. Right, quiet. They go to Annapolis. That's the naval. Yeah, they go to Annapolis. They don't have their own thing. The Coast Guard has a thing too. They have a football team, but they're like way below. They're not Division I. You know, they're not playing Army, and they're not playing Air Force, and they're not playing Navy. But they have a team. They have a college football team, but it's small, obviously.
But anyway, man, it's about to be 2 hours, dude. I
man, I appreciate you, man.
I felt like I've been here for like 10 minutes, man. Freaking time just went by, man.
Man.
But before you go, man, something that we all do, I do to all the first time guests that come here. Give me your Miami Dolphins Mount Rushmore. And by the way, it could be owner, player, coach, you name it.
My Mount Rushmore. Oh my God, this is gonna be tough. I'll say 4 people. I'll go.
Thanks, Crypto.
Marino.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Shula. I'll go Zonka. And I'll go Taylor.
Jason Taylor? Hell yeah.
Marino, Shula, Zonka, and Jason Taylor.
All right, my man. Appreciate you. I know you don't have any podcasts or anything like that, but
nah, man. Like I said, if you ever need me to contribute, you just let me know. You got my number. We always gonna be family. We break bread whenever, you know. Thanks for this 2 hours of fun, and you know, I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you again.
Here, man. It's an honor to have you on here,
man. Like I said, anytime I can contribute to your success, I don't think you need me for your success, but anytime I can help you out, my brother.
Vice versa, man. Hey, man, I know you're a big wrestling fan, man. You know, hopefully you can come on to me and Saul's Goodman's.
Yeah, I'm a wrestling fan. I mean, I'm old school. I mean, I don't watch it as much as you guys. I
don't watch it. Listen, I don't watch it either. The only time for instance, when they talk new school wrestling, my ass is quiet. But I when we talk, like in the beginning, we talk a lot of old school wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of the old school guys because I brought Saul to this place where they had he took the pictures of the ticket stubs, and I was actually at them events with Chief J Strongbow and Ivan Putski and Haystacks Calhoun and Bobo Brazil. And I remember at my old high school, they had Don Morocco against Tony Atlas and the Moondogs against Rick Martel and Tony Guerrero. And so seeing Captain Lou Albano, Freddie Blassie, you know, the Grand Wizard, superstar Billy Graham,
so
Bob Backlund.
Who was your favorite 4 horsemen then?
My favorite 4 horsemen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had so many different members of. Well, they had the original guys were Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and who?
Tully Blanchard.
Tully Blanchard, yep. And then they had one when they had Luger was with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had another time when they had Barry Windham with them. Yeah. Then they had one when Sting was with them. So I'll say probably. I used to like Arn Anderson. I won't say he was the best one, but I liked him. He was pretty cool.
The enforcer.
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Him and his brother Ole and on, they were good. And Ric Flair. There was a lot of good guys in that era too. I mean, I liked the Great Muta. I liked what's his name? Sting was cool. I like Lex Luger. I like Johnny B. Bad. I liked Harlem Heat.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of good ones. I mean, I can't say for certain who my favorite was. I mean, there was so many guys, you know. I'm sure there's guys I'm forgetting because I mean it's been a minute. I remember there's so many guys. I mean, even with WWF, there was a lot of guys that are Blackjack Mulligan, Blackjack Lanza. You had Special Delivery Jones. I mean, I could go on, man. But you know, I know you needed to get off of here.
That's all good. Yeah, man. Listen,
you know, I appreciate you again, Shake. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm gonna. As we close off, we'll just give me a minute backstage, and then we'll call it a day, man. Appreciate you as always, everybody, man. Appreciate you, man. Listen, I'm hoping to get some more guests lined up. If you know anybody that's a Dolphin fan that wants to be on the podcast, hook me up. Put in contact with me so we can make that happen. So, fins up, everybody.
Thanks.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.